Hearts run right to the end. People come on, you don't need to be scared. Cause you're gonna love again.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Haider Rifaat Show Season 9 specials. I'm your host, Haider Rifaat, and it's been quite a while since I've produced an episode. So, this is the first one of 2025, and I'm very excited to have a very special guest with me. His name is Matt Cohen. You might know him for his different iconic roles in Supernatural, General Hospital, South of Nowhere. He has also starred in one of my personal favorite television shows, How to Get Away with Murder, and also Criminal Minds. Matt has also ventured into direction. We'll be talking about his upcoming directorial debut with his feature film, EXES. So thank you so much, Matt, for sparing time and for being here on my show.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be here. I love to talk about all the wild and weird stuff I have going on, and I'm glad you're going to ask some questions so I can talk about it?
Of course, definitely. Let's start, let's dig into it. So, first of all, I want to ask you, I was going through your Instagram, and you have a very engaging way of, communicating with your fans. You're very funny in your demeanor as well. So, is that a way of you staying connected with your fans to let them know more about your upcoming projects, what life is, where life is taking you professionally and personally?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I have a lot of energy, and the people that support the work I do kind of bring out that energy. I can't help it but to be naturally excited for the ability to be a 40-year-old man and be making entertainment for people, be making something that might create a memory in a family or a laugh in a downtime or just whatever. It is a way to connect with these people, and if the fans then show up and buy the ticket to see your work or download the thing or do whatever, just tune in, we wouldn't have that ability. So the fans are everything to me. What I do is not just like, oh, I'm a creative person. I need to be a director because that's what I know how to do. I need to be an actor because that's what I know how to do. It's an exchange.
Yeah.
I get to be extremely creative. I get to live in Wonderland, and in exchange, these people support me as a grown-up 5-year-old. Like a internal 5-year-old living in a 40-year-old frame. Like it is what it is, and as long as they keep tuning in, we'll keep creating. It doesn't have to be on a magnificent scale. We don't all have to be Christopher Nolan and making $200 million pictures, but if we could provide jobs for our fellow workers in town, the behind the camera, the crews, the stunt teams, the craft service people, the food, the caterers, just like if we can keep providing jobs at a decent rate for all those people, and people keep stay entertained with what we're doing, it's kind of the ultimate dream in this scenario.
Definitely, definitely. And I think that's a great way of putting it. And I was reading through your career as well. You have also starred, contrary to the popular projects that you have starred in, uh, you have you have taken many horror film projects as well, earlier on in your film career. One of the iconic franchises like Boogeyman, you have starred in Boogeyman 2, Chain Letter, and Dark House. So, were these deliberate choices that you made earlier on in your film career, and why with horror?
I would say less deliberate and more just opportunistic. At that point in my career, you're still auditioning often for any opportunity you can. I have always been a massive horror fan. I was introduced to horror far too young. I
Same
was
here.
scarred by it. The PTSD that I have from watching it and having nightmares too young also paved the way for me to be a creative filmmaker, because everybody knows you're scared of nothing in a horror movie. There's nothing to be afraid of,
Yeah.
but you're terrified and your adrenaline's going, your endorphins are all these things. So, yeah, it wasn't quite intentional. Those are the movies I auditioned for. Those are the movies I got cast in. I was happy. I was thrilled about it. I was thrilled to be a working actor, and even more so thrilled to be part of iconic horror franchises. Boogeyman, I got to work with the great Tobin Bell. We all know Tobin Bell from Saw. I got to a chain letter put me in the hands of some of the most talented prosthetic specialists in Hollywood. You really get to just kind of delve into what goes into making movies, and that's kind of what always really has enticed me, is the ins and outs, the gears of making a movie. And horror movies have so many gears to get it made and for it to be fascinating and scary and blah blah blah, all these things. So uh yeah, I'm happy I got horror movies, but no, that was the long answer to tell you no, it was not my intention to get them. I mean, it was my intention to book work, not only horror movies.
Yeah. But I have two follow-up questions to that. First of all, did you ever want to, because you're such a horror fan, which is your, first of all, your all-time favorite horror film? And number two, in the horror films that you did in the past or you do aspire to do maybe in the future, if an opportunity arises, would you ever want to consider yourself a person who survives the film or who dies in the film?
Well, I've never lived in a horror film thus far. So I would like to go out in a great, wonderful, spectacular death of sorts, unless there was going to be a sequel, in which case I would like to live. I would also like to direct. I think I love the acting side of it. I think I'm a powerhouse as an actor director for somebody,
Mhm.
somebody looking to have a guy that's all in on what they're doing. Like, I'm the dream. I just am. When I'm given a task, a Hollywood task of making some sort of piece of entertainment, TV or film or short or whatever, I love it, and I want to see it from every angle, and I want the audience to be thrilled and entertained by it. And for me, the idea to be a director actor on a horror film is really it's the most connected you could be with the work, and so therefore the quality of your work, both as a director and an actor, are going to shine.
Yeah.
Now, there's ways that doesn't shine, like it becomes difficult. In the recent movie I just directed, I'm in every page of the script, and I also directed it. That's challenging. It's just hard. You're doing two jobs. It's just very difficult, but it's not undoable. It's not impossible. So you do it. But I think in the horror world, I would love to. And I actually have, me and one of my producing partners, Sean Flanagan, we have a couple of really, really fun, iconic kind of horror ensemble pieces ready to go. And we're looking at putting them together with much of the Supernatural cast. That's my home base is the show Supernatural. It's given me a lot. So therefore I'm trying to put many movies together with them. And they're also my friend circle and my family circle and so on and so forth. So any excuse I can to expose the wild talent of the Supernatural cast and crew, I will do it. But yeah, horror movies are great. I would love. My favorite. It's hard to say my favorite. On my wall here, I have Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Do you know this one?
No, I don't. I'm actually a huge horror fan, but
You don't know
I
Killer Clowns from Outer Space? I believe they're currently making one right now. You
really,
need listen. You're young. You're young. How old are you?
I'm 29.
Holy cow! Yeah, you're in the best. You're in the most exciting part
I
of your
actually,
life.
I'm also an actor too, but I've left that kind of behind because I'm here in Hawaii pursuing higher education. So I kind of like f always wanted to die in a horror film. And I don't know, like I'm trying to make it happen. So hopefully something happens.
Listen, I am the right guy. I am a believer in, like, you're put in front of people, you meet different people for different reasons. And so Sean and I have an opportunity for fans to get actually animated and voice a small role in our animated show. And so
Oh,
people basically they become a producer on a small scale for a certain fee. We animate a character for them and we write them a few lines in the episode. And so it's really fun. So I am a believer in should I be filming a horror movie in Hawaii, I am going to come kill you. So that is not a
definitely.
threat. It's a promise. We will cinematically kill you. It'll be fantastic. It'll be memorable, and we
Excellent.
will we will have it forever. Do you love it? Have you? How long have you been there?
This is my fourth year, almost ending.
Okay, and where'd you live previously?
I'm from Pakistan.
Okay. And that's you. So you came from Pakistan straight to Hawaii?
Yes. I
Great.
lived in California too.
Yeah.
I did my GED. I did my GED from California.
How long and where did you live in California?
Mountain View and Palo Alto.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. You're enjoying yourself in Hawaii the last 4 years, I
I
take
am.
it though. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I've been there once or twice for work, very short time. I didn't get to do much, but I love the ocean and I love having my feet in the sand and being shirtless, sleeping on a beach is what I love. So
The
yeah,
beaches here
Hawaii's
are
fine.
beautiful. I'm sure you love Hawaii when you explore it more. Um,
Yeah.
Funny enough, I was gonna bring this question up later, but it's related to I Know What You Did Last Summer, which was also filmed in Hawaii, the TV show, which got
Yes.
canceled. But you starred in the client list opposite Jennifer Love Hewitt, which was one of your popular guest spots.
Yes, one of my favorite movies, obviously. One of
Yes.
my favorite horror actresses, obviously. Like, you can't take the fan out of me at 42 years old. When I get a job, like you mentioned, How to Get Away with Murder, when I know I was going to be on a set with Viola Davis, that's that's the best. Like what that's like knowing mermaids are real. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the
Yeah.
perfect experience. Um so yeah, no,
What was
I'm just a
yeah.
fan of people.
Definitely. So, what was it like? Because Jennifer Love Hewitt is considered a TV and film icon, as
Yeah.
is Viola Davis too. So, what was it like sharing the screen space with her? Because she has I Know What You Did Last Summer, the reboot to the original coming up in the summer.
Yeah, I saw that. That reboot is coming, which is very exciting. And she was lovely and she's an absolute talent. And I believe my episode was directed by the fantastic Norman Buckley, who cast me there. And I'd worked with him before. But yeah, she's just great and comforting and welcoming. You know, coming on to any set as a guest star, sometimes the actors, it can be rough territory coming in. People like things a certain way. They like to feel that they are of a certain position on
Mhm.
their roster. And whatever, it can be uncomfortable. It wasn't like that on the client list at all, Jen. And she is absolutely lovely. And I got to get a massage from her. Like, what are we talking about? It doesn't matter how the rest of the day went. If they paid me or fed me, who really cares? I got a massage on the client list. It's like that's it. I'm simply satisfied.
And and the good thing is that she was the executive producer of the show too. So it kind of like
Yes.
puts her in a position of power too. So I wanted to ask you about your venture into direction because you have directed an episode of Supernatural. You directed a short film, Mama Bear, and now Exes, which is your directorial feature film debut. What felt right about venturing into direction, and how is it a different territory for you? Number one. And number two, does being a director also make you a better actor now that you have filled those shoes?
Yes to yes and awesome and yeah, all that stuff. This is I wanted to be a director because I saw one of my best buddies in the world go off and be a director. His name is Richard Speight Jr. He's a very talented guy, actor from Band of Brothers and Supernatural. He plays the trickster and whatever, Gabriel, a bunch of characters. Very, very talented human being, awesome guy, salt of the earth human. And we'd been friends and we'd met through the Supernatural circuit of conventions and we became fast buddies and we had a good time together. And he's a hard worker. And I saw him go from actor to director via the Warner Brothers School of Directing under the fantastic um, teachings of Bethany Rooney, who, if you want to know anything about directing and acting, that should be your first source as far as I'm concerned. You should look not to the Meisner technique or this, that, or the other thing. Look to Bethany Rooney. She's got very great knowledge on directing and making television, which translates into great teaching and directing and great teaching and acting. You'd be surprised what you can learn as an actor from her directing workshop book.
Wow.
So, anyways, I saw him do it. He did the Warner Brothers School of Directing, the workshop. He knocked it out of the park. At that time, there were different requirements to get into the workshop and so on and so forth. And he graduated there and went on to direct Supernatural quite quickly. And then I was like, well, I'm going to follow in his footsteps. That seems awesome. I want to direct. It's like if you're an actor, and I thought acting's fun, but I'm not always going to be able to act. And then I always want to make TV. I always want to make movies. This is truly an enjoyable profession, and you change lives and you entertain people, even in the simplest ways. You still have an effect on humans, and that's what you want out of anything. Um, so he went off to direct, and I started approaching the idea of doing the same thing, Warner Brothers School of Directing. So I reached out to Bethany Rooney. She had directed me on my very first TV show, South of Nowhere, where I met my now wife of 15 years. On that show, she directed me, and she was a huge part of my life outside that show as well, as far as giving me kind of like some spiritual guidance and just overall well-being, a person being there for me. And so I reached out to her. She said, well, you need a short film. It's got to be good. It's got to do some festivals. It's got to get, it can't suck. You can't just, you don't really try. So I set out to make a short film. And then what do we have? Mama Bear, which is this beautiful story of a mother's love for her son. And that's it. That's what it's about. Although it is an elevated comic book, John Wick action style world, it is rooted in a mother's love for her son. And at that time in my life, I had a newborn son. He was, like a year, 2 years old. Called my writing partner, Lee Ehlers, the current writer of EXES. And I said, my buddy Richard Speight said, when I asked him what kind of short film should I make, he said, well, you got to write what you know. And I said, well, okay, I love action movies. So I called Lee and I said, well, the only thing I know right now is my wife loves this baby more than anything. And I think she would chop my head off to save his life. And there was born Mama Bear. That happened. Lee wrote it, knocked it out real quick. I sat with it for a couple weeks, made some twisted music video version of a short film that was 10 minutes. And the greatest thing that came out of that was everybody that saw it says, what happened next? So we have a trilogy written for it, ready to be made. It's in the lineup of our next couple of films, which we'll talk about that later. But so I made this short film. I submitted it to 800 film festivals, hoping it would get in one. Well, it got in most of them. And not only did it get in most of them, it won awards or was selected, or something cool happened at least 60% of the submitted things. And the other ones that didn't get a lot of action, well, they just weren't bloody, gory action genre film festivals. So I think Mama Bear is very gory. The lead female character slaughters a bunch of people out of the love for her son, I should say. I should mention that. So whatever, I did the short film. It did great. I submitted to Warner Brothers School of Directing. And now the criteria to get into the class was you had to have a guaranteed primetime episode guaranteed for you to direct upon completion of the school from a working showrunner on
Bless you.
Sorry, I have such bad allergies this week.
Okay.
My whole garden is blooming. So at that time, the criteria to get into the class meant that you had to have a guaranteed show from a current working showrunner, which is a hard thing to obtain, especially, as a white male at that time. We'd been, like white guys have been moved to the back of the line. They've been at the front of the line long enough. So they opened the floodgates for everybody else. And so I was like, there's no way I'm going to call somebody, having never directed anything other than a short film, and go, hey, I'm a 35-year-old white guy. Can I be first in line in directing your show, even though I've never done it before? And they were like, no, that I didn't think that was possible. But at the same time, Supernatural had just announced that it was ending its run. And at about the same time, co-executive producer Phil Segresha, who I love very much, was moving over to The Boys to actively, I guess, start pre-production on that or something. Either way, I think 4 episodes of Supernatural's final season 15 opened up. Richard Speight Jr. got knowledge of this and called me. He texted me. He said, Matt, I got some news. He called me. We never talk on the phone. We always text. We're very straightforward with each other. For two guys that are closer than brothers, we are just pure business sometimes. So he texts me, I call him. He goes, hey, Phil Segresha, he's out. There's 4 spots opening up. I'm like, okay, great. What does that mean for me? He goes, you should call Bob Singer. the executive producer of the show, the granddaddy of Supernatural, essentially, and ask him if you could direct one. And I was like, Rich, I'm going to ask this guy again, like, hey, hi, I've never done anything. Can I come take over this multi-million-dollar show and franchise, and in the final 5 episodes finish it off? And he goes, you never know if you don't ask. And that's the greatest piece of advice I've ever gotten until this day, is if you never know if you don't ask. And if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So give yourself the chance to hear a yes from somebody. So I sent an email to Bob Singer. It was very short and sweet. It had my link to my short film. It said, hey, Bob, here's my short film. I'd love to come direct your show if there's a spot available. Also, you can tell me to F right off, Matt Cohen. I didn't hear anything for 3 months, and I thought, oh man, here we go. I just burned that bridge. I should, like, who asks? Just outright asks, hey, can I come direct your show? But lo and behold, 3 months later, I hear something, and there's an email, and the email comes in, and the email just says, and if you ever meet Bob Singer, you know, like, he's a man of few words. He gets his point across very quickly. And the email said, what's the password to unlock your screener of your short film? I'm going to show it to some people at the CW and Warner Brothers. I sent him a thing back. He writes me back 2 days later. All right, you're in. You're coming up here to direct. Everybody loves your stuff. You'll figure out the rest. And that was it. And I was like, wait, what? So then you call production and you go, okay, what does this mean? I have an episode. Well, as a new director, you have to go to DGA orientation. You have to get up to Vancouver and shadow another director who will allow you to shadow them, so you know how the set runs, right? It's just good etiquette to shadow any director anytime you can. It's fascinating. No two directors are the same. It's just fascinating to watch all directors work. It is. And so I went up and I figured it out. And next thing you know, I'm on a plane going to shadow Richard Spade Jr. Thank goodness, right? He's my buddy. He'll teach me everything, and he did. And he put me through it, and I was with him. And he's the greatest teacher, taught by the greatest teacher, Bethany Rooney. So Bob Singer kind of mentored me in, gave me the opportunity based off the short film. Everybody loved the short film. Jensen Jarrett, everybody at the CW, everybody at Warner Brothers kind of loved the short film. And I went up there and I directed, and it went great. It went fantastic. And fast forward to I'm editing in February of 2020, and all of a sudden I'm about a week away from finishing the edit of my episode, and the world shuts down in the first week of May, or the first week of March, I should say, or second week of March. And that was it. They didn't know if they were going to finish the show. The original episode they had written had been eliminated. They're going to rewrite it. And then now there's COVID, and our show's ever coming back? Is the world over? My episode got finished, but also there was like a major break in the airing of the episode. So, you know, there's things kind of got lost in the shuffle. And then I was presented with a job at Entertainment Tonight, and I took that gig. It's fantastic being there. It's a hell of a group of people that put that show together. And Kevin Frazier and Nichelle Turner are the goats of the goats when it comes to hosting anything and everything. I put them up against the best in the world, you know, and I've sat and interviewed Ryan. See, I've interviewed the best hosts in the world in the company of the best hosts in the world. So they're amazing. I can't say enough about Entertainment Tonight and the franchise and just everything CBS does with that. It's fantastic. So I took that job, and it was great. And for 4 years, you know, you win Emmys, and you're part of something so special and so magical, and you're inside the most inside of Hollywood, right? I'm doing Oscar luncheons, and Colin Farrell's running his fingers through my hair, telling me I got great hair. Like, you're just in these out of body moments. But after amount of time, if you're a certain type of creative, you need something else. And so that the pivot moment, the pivot moment was essentially there was a strike in Hollywood, and Entertainment Tonight knew they had to let some people go. I knew that I needed to do something else. So that decision was made. And immediately 2024 was spent trying to see what we could get going. And then at that same moment, there's all these crumbling cutbacks in Hollywood due to the oversaturation of streamers and all these different sorts of production and the overspending and all these different things, the lack of incentives tax wise and filming wise and so on and so forth. It seems to be adjusting now, but all these things were unfolding. And so we spent 2024 saying, oh, we have a slate of 11 projects ready to go. Horror genre between Sean Flanagan and myself, action genre between Lee Ehlers and myself. I'm set to direct, act, whatever I need. I have them casted out with all the supernatural, all my supernatural friends ready to act. But there's no money in Hollywood for independent features anymore, and everybody wants to remake something old. I don't want to do that unless it's Big Trouble in Little China. Shout out to me if you want to make that movie. I'll remake that in a less in a more topical way, modern day. But other than that, I want to make original content. There's not a lot of availability, and I'm tired of asking. I'm 42 years old. I don't want to ask somebody anymore if I'm allowed to make movies. So I'm not going to. We figured, how can we put together the funding for EXES? Well, Lee and I put our whole life on the line, and every penny we had, we put together a very small amount of money to make a feature film. And then I called in every favor that of every person I've met over the last 20 years, actors, filmmakers, editors, and everybody showed up, many of them from the supernatural universe. Most of my heads of department, most of my movies produced by badass women. It's just really a cool scenario. And what I have decided is that I'm more than capable to act, direct, produce, and do crafty if I have to. I've been in Hollywood 20 years. I've done every position. I've done it at a reasonably high level. So why don't I create my own Happy Madison, what Adam Sandler did, right? He's making these movies obviously on a larger scale, but with his groups of friends and his groups of filmmakers. And I want to do the same thing. And if all it takes is me working a little extra hard and doing several different jobs, so be it. Who cares? Life is about working hard and making memories. So what? You lose a couple hours of sleep, you feel a little crazy. Guess what? You take a nap at some point, you feel fine. Keep on working. So we put the funding together. We shot EXES this January. I shot a feature film in less than 15 days when the entire state of California was burning down. I provided safe keepings at my home in Santa Clarita for more than a third of my cast and crew were staying and shacking up at my house. And it was a fantastic experience. And then Lee and I have that project wrapped up. It's about 2 weeks away from being kind of bought at Cannes Film Festival. And then Sean and I, on the other hand, have Public Domain, which just was fully financed yesterday, the first episode. So that'll be released in probably about a month or 60 days time at the most. So we are just continuing on as the independent, the independent filmmakers of the new independent golden age of Hollywood. I have to make it exist because it's too hard and there's not enough work. So everybody that's capable at all should start putting together production stables, companies, and teams independently. And whether you got to make a movie with $10,000 or 100,000, then 500, then 750, then a million, then whatever you need to make the film you want, start doing it now. You can do it with your iPhone. There's movies being made on iPhones. People can make money. There's easy ways to get content out there and get it seen. And if you want to direct, nobody's allowing me to do it. I'm just doing it. I'm doing it with my own money. I'm taking my own risk and I'm investing in my own self. And I encourage other people to do it. I hope the younger generation is going, yeah, let's take the social media aspect of, oh, we like filming, we like being personalities. Let's elaborate on it. Let's create a series of episodes that's more produced with a couple camera angles and a story and an arc and blah, 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 a couple things. But it's fun. I could go on forever about it. But the reason I'm a director is because Richard Speight Jr. became a director. And then I took the same steps, but fell head over heel in love with the process of trying to make it, trying to make it happen. It's climbing Mount Kilimanjaro for 15 days on a 15-day shoot, or however long the shoot you're on. Every day you get to the top and you win, and then the next day you got to climb another mountain, and it's difficult, and you got to shift and adjust, bob and weave. It's really a fascinating and rewarding experience.
So has direction also made you a better actor, especially when you were doing the film EXES, you were also directing yourself. So
Yeah, yes, I was, and I had creative producer Richard Spade Jr. I can't mention his name enough. He was on set helping me out, doubling down on the direction of myself and making sure I was keeping it reeled in as a director actor. Something he's done before on Supernatural, but he played not one but two characters in an episode directed by himself. So pat him on the back. He would tell me to shut the f up right now if he heard me praising him this much, but I don't give a damn. You can be old and mad if you want, Rich. Uh, but yeah, he did it, and so I thought, oh, I could do it. And then as soon as I finished doing it, I said to him, this was like a couple weeks ago. I was like, Rich, I saw you do it, so I thought I could do it. He goes, yeah, but I wasn't in every page of a movie, and the whole state wasn't burning down when I was making it. I was like, yeah, you're right. You're right. I had some stressful factors, but I had, people like him as a support system around me, and Bree and Mark Shepard and Ricky Whittle and Felicia Day, like a remarkable people from Supernatural and the extended universe there supporting and showing up and performing. So directing is very it's very visual. You gotta imagine every scene. You gotta imagine, like, okay, so if I'm looking at a TV and it's off, when I'm reading a script, I'm gonna read a script and I look at that TV. How do I see it on the actual TV? And it has to look like that. How it makes you a better actor is you know what your stupid face looks like, because I've been an actor for 20 years. Now when I picture myself doing it, what looks the coolest? And it typically somewhere within a couple degrees this direction or that direction is that performance that you actually need. So like I always kind of, like, as a director, go, what's going to look the coolest or the silliest or the most comedic, the right thing for the moment? Like if the character did this, I go, all right, so now how can I naturally make Matt, as in X, is like Jake Reed, my character, make that his real thing, make that his truth, or whatever you want to and call it. Like, how can I make myself believe that my character is doing that for an actual reason, and make the satisfy Matt Cohen, the director, and then it ends up looking cool. Really, it's, you fight yourself because you end up hearing some of the lines that come out of your mouth as a director actor, and you're like, I know that wasn't good, but I know I can't do it again. And you're like, damn it, what am I going to do? And you go, that's all right. We'll be on the back of my head and we'll stay on her reaction for that line, like whatever, you do what you have to. But it definitely makes you more aware of what you're bad at on screen. You definitely are like, and then now I'm editing, right? I've been editing my face for the last 2 months. What a nightmare. Like, you can't imagine being forced to just look at your face. It's just, my acting, my face. I'm so sick of myself. It's ridiculous. But Brianna Buckmaster's character is so intensely strong. Mark Shepard, Felicia Day, Ricky Whittle, these characters are so awesome, and the performances they laid out are so incredible. It's kind of kept me alive through the process.
So Matt, can you tell me a bit more about the story behind EXES?
Yes, yes. So X's is one of the scripts Lee Ehlers and I wrote during the pandemic, and kind of came up with the concept of being minimal locations, minimal actors, so we could make something during COVID, because we didn't know how long it was going to last. And then we came out of COVID. It was still the most responsibly economic film Lee and I could afford to put together with our group of friends, and we had to expand it a little bit, but it's very much a single location movie that takes place entirely in a limousine, but now it cuts back to one or two other locations, but it's very similar. It's got like this, if you took Colin Farrell and Phone Booth and Tom Hardy and Locke and Ryan Reynolds and Buried, and added a bunch of comedy to it and made it a buddy cop comedy. It's kind of like that. It's a fun gimmicky movie, but it also has got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of truth in it. And It's different than everything else. It's not some owned IP that we've seen 1,200 times or some superhero remake. Not that they're not all great. I'm just saying it's something different. I'm giving you people something different. Um, so you find yourselves, we're picking up in this story where it's divorcees, husband and wife divorcees find themselves trapped in a super stretch SUV limousine ripping across a desert in an hour and a half car chase, and they absolutely despise each other. They absolutely hate each other, and they make it very clear how much so. And they absolutely need each other to survive, and they have to team up to figure out a way to get to safety. And there's a big twist, there's of course got to be a big twist. All good writers put a big twist in there, so you get a big twist at the end. And there's several supernatural sci-fi Easter eggs scattered about for all those sci-fi fans out there, all the supernatural lovers out there. And we really made a fun movie. We tried to make the most fun movie we could, and it came out great. And I think people are going to absolutely love it. And it's an hour and a half, action packed thrill ride starring myself and Brianna Buckmaster as those divorcees, and Gary, senior investigator, played by Mark Shepard, Raj, the slick, cunning, charming, seductive SOB he is, played by Ricky Whittle, and then my very, very conservative FBI girlfriend, played by Felicia Day. She plays Jenny, Jenny Bain. And they just knock it out of the park. They really do. It's going to be fun. I just released a poster on my Instagram. If you go to @MattCohen for real, the number 4, you'll see that. And here's the thing: like, the fans have made so much possible for me that it's unbelievable. And so I have to shout out. The posters have been done by fans so far. Like, I reached out to 2 fan artists that are absolutely fantastic. So Scout, she did the current one that I released. I'll release another one in the following days. But yeah, the fan artists that I've met through Supernatural are some of the most talented individuals in the world out there. So look out for those posters coming at you. And yeah, look out for the movie. I'm hoping worldwide distribution in the next month. We should know something.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, where do you plan to release the film and when is it releasing?
I'm hoping to release it immediately. We're less than 2 weeks away from finishing it, editing wise, finishing out our special effects and whatnot, and our visual effects shots. And um, we want to get it out immediately. We want to be up in production on another independent feature with more actors and a little bit more budget by August. And we have that film ready to go. And we are speaking to those actors now. So as soon as we sell this film, we're going to use whatever funds we have from left over to get us going right away, and hopefully provide another 50 or 75 jobs for our friends behind the camera. That's the idea.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And what was the budget for the film, if you don't mind?
Well, I think our budget was 225, yeah, which is a minimal amount of money, and we have a lot of movie packed in for that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Don't you?
it'll be thrilling for some people to see.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in the end, it's not the budget that counts, it's the story that matters, right?
Yes, absolutely. The roots of this movie is very much Lethal Weapon. It is very much like a buddy cop comedy, except it's a male and female dynamic in which the female character is the real shit talking smartass of the two of them, and she's one of the most memorable characters I've ever been across from in a scene. Brianna Buckmaster knocks it out of the park, so they should be excited for what this is: a female led production with a badass female character and a bunch of, like, absolutely talented professional females leading the way behind the scenes. So we're in good hands, and people should be excited for what it is.
Definitely. And moving on to acting again, what kind of character do you want to play in the future that you haven't played yet?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't have a preference as long as I get to play somebody doing something. I like characters. I want the ability to play more characters. I don't get the chance to reach outside of my wheelhouse too far, but I would like to. What Colin Farrell did with the Penguin is very inspiring to a guy like me. What Brad Pitt did with the Benjamin Button, those type of movies are very inspiring to me. Seeing these guys and their prosthetics losing themselves in a character, it's really fun. Obviously, everything Gary Oldman does. There's so many actors I could mention. I'd be thrilled to play any role as long as I could keep a roof over my wife and son's head. I will play any role in Hollywood. To be able to exist in this industry is getting increasingly more difficult, but it's worth it. It's worth the fight. We keep the good fight going.
And also regarding, unless you're a producer, actors don't have much of autonomy in selecting the kind of characters they can also play because in the end, producers call the shots, right?
Yeah, I mean, the producers are going to cast you unless you're getting, direct offers and you're of a certain level of Hollywood professionalism, I guess. But I'm still auditioning for stuff, and I've been working in this business 20 years. I have 6 Emmys and blah, 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 so on and so forth. Who the hell cares? I'm still a dog in the fight, and I'm here for it. It's fun. It's fun to go into a room. Now there's a lot of auditions on tape, but it's fun to go in a room and try to get a role. Still, it's up to the producers, whoever they pick, whoever they like. You as an actor might remind a producer of their ex-boyfriend or girlfriend or somebody from their past they didn't like, and that's enough for them to kind of look past you. And it's not even their fault. They do it unconsciously sometimes. But anyways, yeah, it's really up to it's mostly the director, but the EPs and the producers, they all have say.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I think one thing that you mentioned during your answer was that you want to put a roof over your head and your family's head with the kind of work that you're doing as an actor. But speaking of your artistic vision, what has been your vision as an artist ever since you stepped into the realm of the entertainment business? And how has that vision evolved for you as an actor now that maybe revisit your career and like in hindsight when you look back. So how has that vision of you as an artist evolved over time?
Honestly, there's no linear path through this. I came to Hollywood thinking, oh, I'm going to try to be an actor. That's what I'll be. I'll be like Tom Cruise one day, right? That's you work your way up the rankings, but that's not how it goes. I never thought I would be a director. I definitely never thought I'd be a producer or a writer. Um, but you got to be a versatile filmmaker if you want to exist. You got to be able to do everything, and you got to just kind of laugh things off because so much will happen to you that is impossible to overcome. And so you just whatever, pick a new angle, take a new direction, figure it out. There's always a solution to every problem, basically. But my vision when I came to Hollywood, I thought I was going to be an actor. Now I just want to make entertainment. I love hosting. I love directing. I love acting, producing and writing. I love coming up with ideas. I'm not a pen to the paper type of guy. I'm a let me get you excited about something because I'll get you fired up about it. And I
Yeah.
like to act it out. And I'm just like a physical type of person. So I can write, but I don't enjoy it that much. I write notes. My whole life is like a scattered post-it note. But whatever. I think it's important to be versatile and to be very able to adapt to anything. And so I want to adapt to anything. I'm a hell of a craft service person when it comes to Hollywood entertainment craft service tables. Uh, I've done craft service on projects, my own and other people's, and I enjoy it. And I think it's as important as any other role. I think the chefs and the crew people, and it's just everybody involved in the making of movies and TV. It's fascinating. It truly is. It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, and to conclude this interview, what else, and I think you've kind of like answered this, but what else is left for you to explore apart from acting and direction? I know you want to get people excited about the work that you do, but
A stable.
Which
It's very, very simple. It's a stable. Can I survive and create my own stable, whether it be big or small, whether it be I can only make $250,000 projects or I can have larger financiers trust us to make multi-million dollar projects. I know that I can do it successfully because I've been in the school of Hollywood for 20 years and I've had a really good time learning a lot of shit from some of the great people in this industry from every angle and every aspect. I've had both horrible things done to me and I've been triumphant in the most beautiful scenarios out there possible. And so the challenge for me, the next, not conquering of anything, but the building, putting one block in place at a time and let Mama Bear be that first block. Let Supernatural, coming out there and being part of that universe be the second block. And now we're laying a row of blocks with EXES and public domain and these other titles we have. And I'm going to build a wall of a movie making stable with talented filmmakers that want to be here, aren't here just to cash checks, of people that are excited to exist in the world of entertainment and want to make new stuff and press the boundaries and, get a little James Cameron, get a little Christopher Nolan on our own scale. Let's get a little Steven Spielberg. Let's go a little wild. We can be a little Quentin Tarantino. We could go a little Guy Ritchie. It doesn't matter. But let's do it. I want to build a family of people that have a business together. That business just happens to be making entertainment from the best parts of our heart and soul.
definitely. That
Yeah.
sounds like a good plan. And a horror film needs to be on the horizon too.
Yeah, absolutely. We have several horror films on the horizon that are just absolutely fantastic. Sean Flanagan has this horror title called Over My Dead Body, which is just it's iconic. It's instantly iconic, and I can't say anything about it because it's not mine to do. But it is lovely, 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 and hopefully I get to direct it or be in it. Something I don't know.
Definitely, Matt.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure having you on the show. And all the best for Exes. I'm really excited
Oh
to see that.
yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, and stay in contact wherever you need. I like talking to you. You're a nice person, and enjoy the offerings of life that are coming your way, man. You're a good human. Good things will come.
Thank you so much, Matt. That is all for now. Stay tuned for more on my official YouTube channel and Facebook page. Until then, take care. Bye bye.